Joining us is Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. He is on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he asked Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley for the hearing. Senator, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
I don't know whether you just heard your colleague Bill Nelson of Florida. He said if we don't rein in social media, we're going to have no privacy. And second, Facebook's entire business model is an invasion of privacy. Do you see it that way?
I think that's a trifle premature. I haven't spoken with Mr. Zuckerberg. I think it's good that he's up here lobbying members of Congress, but I'm more interested in his testimony under oath. I come in peace. I don't want to hurt Facebook. I don't want to regulate them half to death. But I think it's pretty clear that the digital promised land is not all milk and honey. We've discovered some impurities in the punch bowl, and there's some questions that Mr. Zuckerberg needs to answer. I hope he'll be candid. I hope he'll be forthcoming, unlike our previous hearing where he sent his lawyer, who said nothing. He was a silver-tongued devil, but he said nothing. I'm hoping that Mr. Zuckerberg won't just, I don't know, pull things out of his orifices, that he'll talk frankly about what Facebook can and cannot do.
What are you going to ask him?
Well, I'm going to say, look, I think it's swell that I can go on Facebook and see what my high school buddies had for dinner last night. But do you think it's fair that in exchange for that I agree to give up all of my personal data to just about anybody in the Milky Way? I don't believe I signed on to that.
But presumably you did at some point, Senator, if you accepted the terms of service that I'll agree with you are written in mouse type that and legalese that no one could read, let alone understand. But presumably somewhere along the way, you did assent to let your data be used. Maybe not in the way it was ultimately acquired by Cambridge Analytica.
Well, maybe we need to rewrite the service agreement then in English as opposed to Swahili. I'd also like to ask Mr. Zuckerberg, who owns my data? Do I own my data, or does Facebook own my data?
What do you think? Who does?
Well, I think I do. Mm-hmm. I'd like to talk about the ability of a Facebook user to be able to erase his or her data.
How about getting paid for their data? People have talked about that Facebook should pay people for their data.
I would like to talk about my right to not to opt in, but just to opt out. I'd like to talk about my right to say to Facebook, look, if you want to sell my data, as you just said, what do I get out of it? Should I get a percentage of the revenues? Should you have to seek my permission? I want to know if Facebook thinks it's in the public interest for it to be able to buy up all of its competitors. I'd like to talk about the antitrust implications. And the overarching issue to me, which is the most frightening issue, does Facebook really have control, or have they lost control? You know, there's an old saying, the need for control usually comes from people who have lost it. When Facebook's lawyer very confidently says, oh, we know everybody who's advertising on our platform, my response is, okay, then how come you let the Russian despots do it and try to influence America's election? Did you really know that? If you did, how come you let them do it?
In the interest of time, Senator, I mean, we are expecting some outrage. We're expecting a lot of relevant questions that you brought up. I'm just wondering what the real appetite, though, is on Capitol Hill from Republicans to actually do something about it, any regulatory action. I heard you use the word antitrust, heard you use the word privacy. What actually can be done on a regulatory front?
Well, we can do anything we want to. I mean, if we've got enough votes to stop cloture, we can pass anything we want to. I don't see this as a Republican or a Democratic issue. I see it as a privacy issue. I see it as a propagandist issue. I see it as an American issue. And again, I think Facebook's done some wonderful things, a good American company. I'm proud of them. But we have some problems, and they need to be addressed. It's that simple. And I'm not interested in I'm not interested in scoring political points. I just want to know what Facebook is going to do to address these issues, and can Facebook do it? I worry that Facebook has really lost control, and this is bigger than Facebook, and they may need a little bit of help.
All right, not the digital land of milk and honey.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Good
Senator
line.
John Kennedy, we'll be watching. It's going to all play out on Capitol Hill tomorrow on Power Lunch. Thanks for joining us.
You bet.